30 people injured in that attack, but the casualties were limited because the bomb did not completely explode.
And for more on this, Ryan Mauro joins us now. He's a national security analyst for the Clarion Project. He's also a professor of counterterrorism at Liberty University. Good to see you this morning, Ryan.
Nice to see you.
All right, so first of all, can you tell us more about what we know right now about the suspects?
Sure. Reportedly, they are both refugees, one from Iraq, one from Syria, which means that basically we rescued them from hell. I mean, that's what's going on in Iraq and Syria, and they came to the West, they came to the UK to have a better life, and this is the payback that we got. And so it's really just another story of just how strong the extremist ideology is, and it's a rebuttal to those that say, oh, well, we just don't love people enough, that we're not being tolerant enough. No, the West, including the UK and the US, are very generous countries, but that doesn't seem to penetrate and stop the extremist ideology.
And, of course, they are suspects at this point, so we'll just keep that in mind as we're talking about this. But I want to bring this up. British authorities have reduced the terror threat level from critical to severe. So critical is when essentially a threat could be imminent. But what do you see this meaning in terms of the greater picture and the greater investigation?
Well, the threat level initially went up because they were searching for the people that actually did the attack. And so they have arrested 2 suspects, so it makes sense for the threat level to go down. But I think the big story that's going to come out of this is that one of the suspects was known to police. And this is becoming an all too common pattern. Patrick Poole, an investigative reporter who tracks what he calls known wolves, those that are already on the radar and then carry out an attack, says that according to his count, this is the 12th attack by a known wolf, a suspected terrorist that was in a database on surveillance, known to the authorities, but still was able to carry out and participate in an attack. And so that raises the question of what do you do when you have so many suspects and so much intelligence about all of these people, but you can't have 24/7 surveillance on all of them and you can't arrest all of them.
And having worked in surveillance, that's always the issue. But, you know, ISIS is claiming that Friday's subway attack was carried out by one of its affiliated units. Is there evidence to support that claim? Some officials seem to be thinking otherwise.
Well, I mean, it fits the ideology and it fits them stylistically, but beyond that, in the public realm, we don't really know. But for me, it's always about the ideological movement and the state sponsors behind it. So whether it's ISIS or whether it's Al-Qaeda's growing branch in Syria or in Yemen, which are threats I think don't get enough attention now, it doesn't make too much of a difference. The bottom line is that whichever brand of terrorist group we're facing, they're out there, they are growing. As the ISIS caliphate collapses, you're seeing Al-Qaeda's estimated 20,000-man army grow in Syria, and you're seeing new fronts opening up in places like the Philippines and Burma.
Yeah, and as we look at how the fronts are opening up, as you mentioned, you know, this is the 5th terrorist attack to hit the UK just this year so far. And you know, people always wonder, looking at cities and subway systems, what do we need to be worried about here in the U.S., and how is our security different here that makes us either more or less vulnerable?
You know, I'm continuously surprised when I'll come across just an average civilian who tells me a story of a suspicious person that they met sometimes years ago and didn't report to the police, or they just reported to one individual and didn't follow up on. It's really amazing the type of intelligence that people can provide if they're just paying attention to what's going on around them. And I think that there needs to be an educational effort for the American people to understand the critical role that they all can play.
And you make such a good point there. Human intelligence so important in all of this. Ryan Mauro, thank you.
Thank you.